Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm well. I have some questions for you.
Okay.
What are some do's and don'ts for parents?
I love do's and don'ts that are around boundaries because boundaries is a big hot topic. And the major do's and don'ts around boundaries is that if you are wanting to be successful with the boundaries you're setting, the do's is that you have to do them in advance. A lot of people are laying the boundaries as they're experiencing the conflict or the struggle. It has to be done in advance. And like to give you an example, let's say for parents of younger kids, they're going to a candy store and they're in the candy store and now the kid is trying to fill up the bag and the parent's like, you can't have this, but I really want this. And there's an entire conflict that's involving a disappointment or unmet expectations of the kid, or the parent is upset that the kid is wanting too much or not appreciative of what they have. If you just set in advance a boundary, as in, yes, we're going to the candy store and you can get to pick 5 candies and that'll be it. And guess what? You get to eat the one now and maybe one after dinner. Set a nice structure around it. I find that there's a lot more success with that do of boundary. And the don't of boundary that I find many parents have a problem with is when the boundary is broken, and it's always broken because that's what kids are programmed to do. The parents get reactive, and when they get reactive, they tend to not only punish or set a consequence for the broken boundary, but then they continue and they create a secondary punishment for the reaction of the child over being punished.
Got it.
So a moment that should have just been, boundary was broken, this is the consequences, I love you, we're moving on. Or I see that you're upset about that, but that is the boundary. We talked about it and you broke it, and it's okay, we will try again next time. Instead, it's now the kid is screaming or crying and has a full, real emotional reaction to being disappointed, to being, you maybe felt a little guilty for their reaction, their disappointment. And therefore now the parent is reacting to the reaction. So reacting to the reaction is a big parenting don't.
Okay, so similarly, what are common traps parents fall into when communicating with their kids?
When the parents communicate with the kids, I find that with the best of intentions, parents communicate to instruct, to guide, to teach, which it is what we're meant to do, and it is what we've always expected to do as parents from the beginning, from the moment we decided to be parents. That's what we want to do. Very often that's the go-to versus the actual listening and the getting to know your child or their thought process. So even when we sometimes ask very open-ended questions, we kind of already know what the right answer is, and we are waiting to hear it. And if we don't hear it, we guide towards the right answer. Versus in the communication with your child, you have this phenomenal opportunity to actually see how their brain works. The teenagers, you want them to develop this autonomy, but we are also so concerned about them that we are taking every moment of interaction, because they're so few and far between, to try to put our imprint, to try to guide them, to try to make sure we're on the right path. And so little of it is leaving them space to really just communicate who they are and for us to listen to who they are and how they actually think. A lot of times, parents are trying to structure their kid so when they are off and away, they're saying the right things, they're behaving the right way, and we already know how things may sound to others. So we're so quick to correct, we're so quick to direct, that often in a communication with a teen, we're not really listening to who they are because we don't like their opinion or afraid of their opinion, or even if it's not fully there yet because it's developing, we want to complete the blanks for them in the way that we want to guide them.
So interesting. We've talked about this before, but how would you say parent coaching is different from therapy? A lot of overlap, some difference?
It's funny. I find that I like parent coaching to and parents out there will know what I mean. When we have babies, there's a lot of those baby and me, mommy and me, tummy time classes, a lot of those initial structures of how to connect with this new being, what's right developmentally, but how to also create this connection while you are hitting all the milestones or aware of the milestones of development. And then there's this massive gap that happens in the middle, and where everybody's just surviving, and especially with this, with our generation, with everything that has happened with COVID and with technology and social media and just like the speed of development of things, in this void of instruction. And then comes therapy. And therapy is because we've already entered a space where we feel like maybe some of the communication is lacking, some of the connection is lacking, some of the parents are at a loss. They want to get the right help for their kid. So I think therapy is needed. It is something that I celebrate and I love, and it is something that works alongside what I do, which is the coaching. And especially if a child is in therapy, the parents should be getting coached, because the environment at home needs to shift and accommodate what the child is working so hard on with their therapist. So the coaching is what it continues that baby and me decades later, which is how to maintain communication and connection with this safe attachment with this being, with this child, while at the same time understanding the developmental milestones and where this child may be. So giving that insight and confidence to parents.
So pretend I'm a dad and I want my 12-year-old to stop swearing. What would you tell me to do?
If your 12-year-old is swearing a lot, and you came to me for support on that,
Yes, I'm at my wit's end.
I would first try to understand you better and get to know you better, and understand whether you are a swearing adult.
I am.
If you are a swearing adult,
All
and
time.
therefore your child was exposed to it at home, then first thing I'd love to have you do is take some responsibility for it. Why do I like when you take responsibility for it? Because then it's less of a them problem. It is something that you fostered at home, and now do you want to change it, or do you just want to be the, do as I say, not as I do? Either way, you have higher success rates with one than the other, needless to say. But I would walk you through what sort of boundaries are acceptable if you're going to be continuing to use the swear words that you don't want your child to do, and probably the right language around it. But at the same time, we will be very realistic about the fact that if you're modeling one behavior at home, children, teens, they really get shaped by what they see you do more than what you tell them to do.
It does feel like in parent coaching you can be more directive. Do you ever tell people what exactly to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm touching my-
And that's why I love what I do for a living. Yes, I find that being a parent coach versus being a therapist of a parent, there are certain things that I can do, and there are certain things that I won't go into. Because that is clearly more the work of a therapist, especially if it has to do with trauma in the past of a parent or anything they need to work and process, and I do recommend for them to do so because it does imprint on the child.
What's something you would tell a parent, like specifically?
I give exact and direct scripts.
You do?
I absolutely do. My clients write notes. And they use the words. I am.
You're a big believer in the specific power of
Very
language.
much so. NLP is something that I'm very passionate about. I think it makes a massive difference. It's everything in communication and connection. Words, and the tone behind words, and how they're just how they're delivered and what they're spoken about makes all the difference.
You mentioned self-limiting beliefs with the
Yes,
what's the specific example of just an example of
So let's
one way
say
of seeing
something
things?
that's coming up all the time right now with my clients
Yeah.
and teenagers. It's the whole, everything around disrespect. It's one of my favorite topics because I can work with a client on that, and a client that is willing to see it. It can change so quickly. But because I like working with my clients and understand exactly what is their trigger, what is sounding like disrespect for them, how can I help them work through that on their own so there's less of the pressure on the tone of the children, because a lot of times it's the language and the tone of the child. And those are the words that I like using. You can absolutely use the word with your teen saying that tone is disrespectful. That language comes across as disrespectful. But so often parents go into you're so disrespectful.
Ah, okay.
And that's nuance of words, it's
Yeah.
nuance of language, but it's the thing that makes the difference between this child is using a language that creates a certain impression
Yeah.
versus this child is fill in the blank, which is the identity that we're creating for the child.
I'm stealing that.
Take it.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that. What is a parenting issue you see all the time but no one talks about?
This is I'm not sure if it answers the question, but one of the things that I find that is a big thing right now that I think is not going to correct everything, but can be extremely instrumental in correcting a lot of the disconnect at home, is one-on-one time with parent and a child. And we are, as parents, adults, we are very overwhelmed. Generations, it's a very different generation. Now, both parents work. Often what happens is that there's a separate household, people are stretched very thin, and parents are stressed, and there's just very little time left, and everybody's doing their best. But the impact that happens when a child has a scheduled date with a parent, no matter who the siblings are, no matter what responsibilities are, when that is scheduled, and often what I tell my clients, which is funny, I have them get an old school calendar, put it on the refrigerator, and mark it that is their date, and set it up for the next month. That is their date. And together, where do we want to go and what do we want to do? And what you do on that date, which I'll prep the client for, it's really like a date, but you really need to court your child, show interest in their interests, show up with something that they like. Reweaving that connection and taking the time for it and treating it with such respect is so powerful in the relationship between the parent and the child, but we just don't make, it's so hard to make the time to do it.
Yeah.
But it's something that I urge and I work with my clients to do, and I do find that it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think people don't talk about it often is just because nobody wants to be inconsiderate of how busy everybody is right now. And I respect it and I do understand, but I believe that if you're feeling any sort of disconnect at home and a lot of conflict, step number one, start dating
Together.
your child.
Okay. How do you help parents when they feel like they've messed up?
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because we're all going to mess up, and it is
Yeah.
a beautiful opportunity to model for our kids, our teens, how to manage mess ups.
Yeah.
And it's such a good thing. Teens today are so weary of the cringe. They are terrified of the cringe. So really, there's such discomfort around making mistakes and repairing. They're not developing the muscles. They're avoiding it like the plague. So having cringe moments or having mess up moments and then narrating them and actually showing, even if it's not with the kid, even if it's with a friend, but you get to tell them that this is how you messed up with this friend, and now you're going to do this because this is your way to apologize because you realize that wasn't very cool. This is an incredible opportunity to model to your child that all ages we mess up with adults, with kids, with a kid. You walk up back to your kid and you say, you know what, buddy? That wasn't, mommy lost it a little bit. And again, this is where things strike. You can express why. Make sure you're not making excuses.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you let them know it was unacceptable, even though you were stressed, to react the way you reacted, and therefore you would like to apologize for it and you would like to try that again.
Yeah.
But you can give a reason, make sure it's not an excuse.
And really the message is it's okay to make mistakes.
And this is how we deal with what we did. This is how it's not just okay to make the mistake, now what do we do about it? Like, with the little kids, we were so quick to just say you're sorry. And we made kids say they're sorry. But I find that with a lot of the teen generation, they're like very quick to say sorry, but really just to shut things down. It ends there. And it's really beautiful to go back in and just talk about the repair.
Okay. What's one tool you find yourself teaching almost every parent?
One basic and very important tool in parenting is connection before correction.
Okay.
We are so quick to correct. We're ready. We're like that whack-a-mole. We're just ready because this is our job and we're going to prepare you to be just a great human being as you go out into the big world and you're representing this family and generations. And there's plenty of corrections all the time. All I ask parents to do is first connect. And another thing that's great, it's like if you do have correction to be made, do it off the mat. You don't do it in the middle of a conflict. You do not do it while everybody is in fight or flight mode.
Okay.
You have to control yourself and your need to share your wisdom and knowledge, and you want to check your audience and know that if you are in an argument with your kid, and kids are co-regulating creatures. So sometimes it's not even like a big explosive thing. But if you're full of anxiety and you're upset and you're sitting and delivering a message for your child, their nervous system is going to match yours. And the minute it does, they're not learning anything. So if you really want to be impactful with your lessons to your child, you want to wait for everybody's nervous system to be nice and regulated. And that's where messages have much better chances of impacting the teen and the child.
Connection before correction. Should be a t-shirt. Okay, some rapid fire questions. What's a parenting cliche you secretly agree with and one you can't stand?
If it's easy, you're not doing it right. I like that one a lot.
Okay.
And one that's not a cliche, but it's more of a quote. I'm a huge fan of Pam Leo, and she said that the level of cooperation you get from your child is directly attached to the connection they have with you. So all parents right now want cooperation at home. They want a kid to acquiesce to, but they're not working enough on the connection. So that's a really good one that I really, really love.
What's something parents should stop worrying about so much?
That's a tough one. I find that some of the worry around screens,
Yeah, that's all I hear about.
and we
screens.
all hear about it all the time.
I think it's like a powerful tool. Like, what's it used for? How is it being used? I think there's a blanket statement. Doesn't feel like, yes, probably everyone should be on their phone less, but tell me more about the specifics of what's going on before you want me to be like the judge.
I feel like exactly what you said. I think screens they're here, they're part of life, and everything that we're concerned about today, some of it is based on studies, some of it is assumptions. Before we even get this as a study, there will be a new study, something else. This is developing so quickly. I think parents have so much anxiety around screens that they're creating more problems around them. Often I find that, and this is even me from personal experience and friends around me, we will walk into a room and we see our kids holding a phone or having a tablet in front of them, and our interaction immediately is really a reaction to our fears, to our disappointments, it changes our tones. And this goes back to what I said, that children are co-regulating creatures. And immediately we have anxiety, we have anger. Really, this is something that's a part of their life, and what they need is support. They need to know how to manage this new thing that is now going to be a part of their lives with responsibility. And if they feel that it is an issue for us, we lost the opportunity to be their guide that supports them through how do I do this responsibly?
Final question. If you had 30 seconds in an elevator with a struggling parent, what would you say?
I would say that one of the most important things, and one of the things that I feel like kids and teens are getting less and less of, is getting to witness or experience parents in real joy. And if a parent is stressed and miserable and is overwhelmed, the first thing I would want them to do is pause and find a way to connect again with themselves, with the person that they want to represent for their child, not as the teacher, but more of the inspiration. And having your child experience with you real joy, or watch you just have true joy, is a rarity. And I feel like it would be such an impactful and also motivating and a connection thing for your child to have when they witness it with you. So if this parent is drowning, I would say, please, let's get you on a fun float. Let's get you on a fun float with a little pina colada and sunglasses, and have your child experience you that way.
Yeah.
And then let's go back to the guiding, but from that place where you feel a little more whole.
I love that.